Hello there students, welcome back to this video series. This is your instructor Ms. Ruvi Bhatt, and carrying forward the most dreaded topic there. Yes, we were talking about public speaking in the last lecture. I tried my level best to make sure that in your next public speech you rock. Okay, today I would be teaching you some technical things, that what exactly are the patterns by which you can organize your speech. Just like we studied in presentations, that in presentations firstly you need to do planning, after that you need to structure or organize all the data which you have gathered. Similarly for a speech too, firstly you will plan your speech, you will gather data for your speech, after that you will collect the data and organize the data in proper manner. Okay, for organizing this data, we have different patterns available for you. These are known as organizational patterns for public speaking. These are the patterns by which we can arrange our speech which we are going to make in front of public. Okay, this is a very technical thing and it should be followed whenever you are planning for a public speech. Okay, what are different ways in which you can give out your speech or you can arrange the contents of your speech? That would be our topic of discussion today. Starting with each and every pattern, we would be first seeing the most easiest of all the pattern, which is categorical or topical pattern. Here your speech is arranged according to topics. Okay, you will go from one topic to another topic or one category to another category. Mostly the topics which can be divided further into subtopics or further into different categories can be arranged using this organizational pattern. Let us see its example here, students. As you can see here, I have presented to you an outline of a speech in categorical or topical pattern. Okay, what is an outline first? Students, before you detail out the speech, initially you will make an outline. It is a structure. Okay, we can say these are the header points. Okay, mostly the outline would be a 2-point, a 3-point or a 5-point outline, where you will summarize that which are the 3 points which you are going to mention in your speech and what is their order. So here we have presented a 3-point outline of a speech which is to persuade a set of high school juniors to attend a generic university. This particular speech is divided into 3 topics, where we would first be discussing the life in dorms, secondly we would be discussing the life in classrooms, and thirdly we would be discussing the life in campus. Okay, in each of these topics will be elaborated during a speech to persuade them that what are different reasons due to which they should join a generic university. This is the persuasive speech. If you remember that there are 3 basic purposes for which our speeches are made: to inform, to persuade, and okay, you got me there, and the third one was to entertain. Stand-up comedy or the speeches for special events or the anchoring, all these things are a part of speeches to entertain. Persuasive speeches can be divided into categorical or topical patterns. According to categorical or topical pattern, moving onwards, let us see what is the second pattern. This is a very well-known pattern, chronological pattern of organization of speech. Okay, according to chronological pattern, here as the word suggests, chronological means in the sequence of time. Okay, in this pattern the speech is divided according to the time of events when they occurred. Okay, in either ascending order or descending order. It can be chosen by the speaker himself that whether they want to go from the most past events to the most present events or from the most present event to the past events. This depends totally upon the speaker. Let us see one of the example of the outline created using chronological pattern. This is the speech which is an informative speech. This is a speech which informs the audiences about the books written by Winston Churchill. If you do not know, he is one of the famous authors, okay, and a politician. If you are told to give a speech on Winston Churchill, then you can arrange it in chronological order, starting with the content of the books which he wrote before World War II, during World War II, and thirdly, the content and style of writing after World War II. So, this is chronological order, starting from the most past events to most present or most recent events. Okay, so you can arrange it in chronological order if it is an informative speech, if you are talking about biography of some famous person, if you are talking about the sequence of events which happened at a particular festival. Okay, if you are talking about a particular festival, or if you are talking about the history of a particular thing like history of technology, then too you can use chronological order. These are different topics where you can use this type of organizational pattern. So our next pattern is causal pattern. As the name suggests, this is also one of the easy organizational patterns of your speech, where your speech is divided into simple 2-point outline. Remember here that the outline here is only 2 points. The first point is the cause and second point is the effect which the cause has created. So, this is an easy organizational pattern for the speech here. Let us see one of the example here, like which is example students in this speech where we have to give out a speech to inform about the problems associated with drinking alcohol amongst the member of Native American tribal groups. Okay. For that you would create a 2-point summary where firstly you would explain the history and prevalence of drinking alcohol amongst Native Americans, and secondly you would explain the effects that abuse of alcohol have on Native Americans and how these effects differ from that of the experience of other populations. So, here we would first mention the cause and secondly we would mention the effect that particular cause has created. This type of organizational patterns are mostly used in topics which are having some ill effects like smoking is injurious to health, like alcohol is injurious to health, like ill effects of roaming about without masks in the corona pandemic, etc. So, all these problems which create ill effects are arranged using this causal pattern. Our third pattern, which is just an exaggeration or 1 point forward to causal organizational pattern of speeches, is problem cause and solution pattern. Okay. According to this pattern, here instead of a 2-point which we used in the causal pattern which had only cause and effect, here we have a 3-point outline. In the first point we would be having problem, secondly we would be having cause, and thirdly we would be having a solution to that problem. Okay. Let us see one of the examples here where we want to persuade a civic group to support a citywide curfew for the underage people which are not adult yet, which is the age of 18. For that late night, this is the speech where you want a group to support a citywide curfew. For that you would first be mentioning the problem, that the problem here is that vandalism and violence is creating very negative effect on the youth of our country. Secondly, we would mention the cause. Okay, the cause of vandalism and violence is that people roaming out at late nights and who would be under the effect of drugs or alcohol would be indulging in such activities more. We would be explaining in the third point that by implementing a mandatory curfew after 10 PM for all the underage people would be very helpful, because they would then not suffer this vandalism and violence. Okay, moving forward to the next pattern for organizing speech, this is a psychological pattern. Okay, here you would logically arrange your speech. Logical arrangement. Okay, you would have seen in many cases that if A leads to B and B leads to C, it means that A leads to C. This impact or this particular logic is used in creating your speech when you want to target psychology of people. For example, if you want to persuade group of nurses to use humor as a part of their treatment, you would give a 3-point outline in a way that firstly you would tell that how laughing affects the body and how positive bodily effects can help healing. And lastly, the last point says that you can use strategies of humor for healing or for curing any disease because it would lead to less stress. Okay, moving onwards, our next organizational pattern of speech is biographical. Okay, this is somewhat like chronological. This is the but it is not dependent on the time span of the history, but important we can say important points or important turning points or important life events of the person whose biography we are trying to speak. For example, if you want to talk about the biography of any famous person, like here we have mentioned a speech of the biography of the famous singer Marilyn Manson. Okay, it is divided into a 3-point outline where firstly you would be describing Marilyn Manson's early life, where he was better known as Brian Warner. Where he was better known as Brian Warner, and his feud with Christianity started there. After that, secondly, how he started his journey as a music journalist in Florida, and finally he started making his own music, and this was the creation of Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids. Okay, so you would move forward in the flow in accordance with some important parts of the journey of the celebrity or of the person you are talking about. For example, if you want to give a speech about life of Mahatma Gandhi and you want to divide the speech in a 3-point summary using this pattern, you would be having a 3-point summary where first point would be early life of Mahatma Gandhi, second point would be how he went to South Africa, and third point would be how he joined the freedom fighting movement and how he successfully eradicated British from our country. Okay, moving onwards, students, our next pattern for organizing a speech is comparison or contrast of the speech. Here we would divide the speech in such a way where you can compare 2 items, 2 products or 2 services while giving out the speech. Mostly this pattern is used in persuasive speeches where you would convince a person to take your product with respect to competitor's product because your product is better. Okay, for example, students, if you have to give out a speech for a new drug Y which is similar to some drug X but has some better effects, then you can give out a 2-point outline. In the first point you would be mentioning the similarities between the 2 drugs, drug X and drug Y. Obviously they would be similar in treating the same disease, and in the second point you would be describing the differences between the 2 drugs. There is a possibility that their prices might be different, their contents might be different, there might be some better contents in drug Y compared to drug X. So you would mention both the similarities and the differences. But if you are specifically told to make a 3-point outline for this type of speech, which is a comparison or contrast speech, at that moment you can divide your speech into 3 points, where firstly you would give out the goal, or we can say you would give out the need, the requirement of both drug X and drug Y. In the second point we would be again mentioning why both are similar. Third point is why both are different. Okay, that's it about the organizational patterns of public speech, students. I hope now you know that how you can arrange your speech in proper order. Okay, now let us move forward, and I would give you some of the tips which are useful in very common speeches, okay, which you might have to face in your lives or in your exams too. Okay, starting with the first type of speech, which is a welcome speech. What you should keep in mind when you are giving a welcome speech? First and foremost, be aware of the name of the person whom you are welcoming. Okay, what for welcome speeches are given? There is a possibility that there is a new employee in your company and you are given the task of welcoming that person. Another thing can be there can be some chief guest in some important event of your company and you might be given a task to welcome that chief guest. Okay, so major things which you need to take care while giving out a welcome speech is that, firstly, remember the name of the person who has come. You must not read it out, or you must not be looking for the name of the person when you have to welcome him. You must remember his name. Secondly, greet the person. Thirdly, explain to everyone what is the designation of the person he is appointed at, or who is the person in his real life. If he is not a part of your company, he is a chief guest, then you can give out and explain his designation to your audiences. Thirdly, you can speak about his or her achievements in his life. Fourth, you would explain his role and why you are welcoming him to this particular event or to this particular organization. So these are the points which you must take care of when you are giving a welcome speech. Secondly, students, what you must take care of when you are giving a farewell speech. First and foremost, make sure it is not too emotional. Okay, do not make it too emotional, please. Okay, first and foremost, make sure that the speech is not too formal, not too emotional, neither too formal, but it is somewhere in between, because this is a formal type of speech where you would be talking about farewell of some faculty, or farewell of some of your colleague, or farewell of an important organizational member. Make sure that it is not too personal. Okay, you are talking here on behalf of entire organization and you are giving him a farewell on behalf of entire organization. So do not be too personal. Make sure that your speech is not too personal. Okay. What all are the points which you will cover in a farewell speech, students? First and foremost, mention the name of the person to whom you are giving a farewell. Mention his designation if he is a part of your organization. Thirdly, make sure that you explain to your audiences that what role he played in the organization and how nicely he played his role. Explain to people that how he was an asset to the organization and how his works would be missed by everyone. Okay, one more thing, make sure that you mention all his past achievements and do not forget to congratulate him for his future ventures, or congratulate him for his retirement, or congratulate him for whatever work he has put forward in his entire tenure. Okay. Lastly, you can end the speech with a note that you would be keeping, or the organization would be keeping, a positive relation with the person, though the person is not a part of organization. Last but not the least, obviously we would be seeing a speech which is vote of thanks. Okay, firstly, you must mention that who is the person to whom you are giving a vote of thanks, what is the reason why you are giving a vote of thanks to that person. Thirdly, you will mention that without person's help, you wouldn't have been able to complete the task. Okay, what are different speeches where you would be given an opportunity to give a vote of thanks? Someone might have helped you in some project, or there can be one celebrity who would just have made a presence in your event. Okay, or a vote of thanks can be given to maybe general director, or the chairperson who has just donated some huge amount to the organization. Okay, it can be for the investors, it can be for any of the known members. Make sure that you properly give out vote of thanks, and that as it is for a very authoritative person, be respectful when you are giving out a speech of vote of thanks. Okay, students, that was all about the most dreaded topic, public speaking. So see you soon. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. This is your instructor, Ms. Dhruvi Bhatt, signing off. Until next time, bye bye.